What's up, water signs, Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces? Welcome to my channel, Tarot by the Intuitive Teacup. This is going to be a general reading for the water signs. I didn't think I would have time to do all 12 this week, so rather than give you nothing at all, here's something hopefully the water signs can resonate with. So, as always, guys, come into this reading with an open heart, an open mind, and a desire to better yourself. If the messages that come through don't resonate, feel free to push them aside, check back another week, but also give the messages time to resonate. Sometimes things will make more sense in a week from now. Ooh, water signs, love it. All right, let's see. What's coming in for the water signs? Let's say in the coming week or two, we'll see. Water signs. Friendly reminder, you guys are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. Let's try and have some fun. This is optional advice, guidance, tapping into whatever energies you all are sharing with me over YouTube. All right, here we go for the water signs. Let's split the deck here. Well, you have the card of the past coming up in the past. All right, interesting. So a lot of kind of scorpionic energy here with endings, but don't let that scare you away. But it's going to. No, I'm just kidding. The Eight of Swords is a card of fear. It is about taking your power back and also sort of understanding that with the Eight of Swords, this is potentially like the theme of your reading. This is the self-made prison, right? It's our own thoughts, our own ideas, our own possible lack of communication that's actually holding us prisoner. It's holding us back. So the minute that you decide to change even just one thought, you can kind of get yourself out of what seems to be this uncomfortable or stuck situation. And I can tell you what you need to release, sneak preview, is an ending. Holding on to something that it's already sort of exited your life, or it's trying really hard to, and there might be some control issues of you telling yourself why you need to keep this thing or this person around, when in reality, I think you're building towards something much bigger, and at least for the time being, there is some sort of ending coming through. So let's jump in here and get some more specifics for you. So I'm going to read this past, present, future, what you need to release, what you need to embrace. So coming up in the past, you have a card of nostalgia. You have a card of sentimentality. Sometimes this can be more platonic, innocent love. Sometimes it's a card of siblings. So maybe there's a dynamic going on with some siblings. If not, it can be a soulmate card, and it almost feels like you guys have known each other in past lives, if this is possibly romantic. It can also just be a card of friendship, but I will say it's a Sun in Scorpio is sort of the planetary connection to this. So Scorpio does things very deep. It does things very extreme. We're in Scorpio season, right? So the sun, right, wherever the sun is in your chart, it illuminates. So with Sun in Scorpio, there's this realization of a very deep, possibly extreme connection. But with that, we have to remember both the negative and positive. Extreme loyalty, right? That in theory could be a positive, but also extreme control issues, right? So where it falls on that sort of scheme is, entirely up to you, and it's probably very personal. But generally, I do like this card. I'm just sort of, if I'm reading past, present, future, what's coming in and what the Hermit is trying to illuminate with his lantern, right? Again, kind of that light sun metaphor here, is an ending. Something that's, I typically read the Ten of Swords. Any 10 in tarot is the ending of a cycle, right? It's the culmination, the completion. Not necessarily a bad one, but when the 10 of Cups is typically very positive. 10 of Swords, you can kind of tell. Sometimes it has a darker or more uncomfortable connotation. I don't read for death, just so you guys know, so you don't need to get freaked out about that. But I tend to read the 10 of Swords as something that it's kind of been piling up for some time now. So versus the Tower, if you guys are familiar with the Tower card in tarot, that's pretty much sudden, shocking changes. The Ten of Swords is something like, maybe in the past there were some red flags, there were some signs that, oh, maybe this isn't quite what I thought it was going to be, but for some reason or another we kept building it up. With a Virgo-esque card here, the Hermit, it certainly could have involved a Virgo or a Scorpio. It doesn't have to. The Virgo loves to serve. The Virgo loves to provide his skills and his knowledge and kind of get in there, get his hands dirty, and sometimes has trouble letting go in terms of, brace yourself. This is going to sound really intense, but, Scorpio season. The idea of understanding, oof, maybe I didn't do that right, or it was a failure. Sometimes, this kind of energy wants to keep going back to the drawing board and editing and recreating, very Scorpio energy, to try and perfect it, when for some reason or another, maybe the universe was saying, you don't need to try and perfect this anymore. I have no doubt with these two cards coming through, you guys really gave it your all. Whoever this was, you gave it a lot of time and a lot of your service, a lot of your attention to detail, a lot of your almost fix-it mentality, right? But with that, I almost think the universe sent signs possibly for a while now saying this might not be the one, so maybe would be better to put our effort elsewhere. Now, some of you are asking, okay, well, where should we be putting that effort? Probably into yourself. Venus is a very strong card in terms of self-worth. Lots of Tauri and Libra energy. It's a card of Venus. So Venus is connected to our money. It's also connected to our physical body. Yes, our wealth and our bank account, but also our self-worth, the value we project onto things, onto others, and as well as onto ourselves. The Empress really doesn't break her back to please other people. An earlier version of maybe Libra energy can be a little bit people pleasing, as can Virgo energy too, and I say that because Libra is attached to this card. So really the Empress is about stepping into your power. There's something very commanding about the Empress, but it's not as intense as maybe the Queen of Swords, where she just cuts to the absolute truth. She can cushion it with maybe a little bit of diplomacy or a little bit of kindness, generosity, understanding how other things land. Because again, Venus energy is all about how you relate to others, and that's what this card is. But with that, yeah, she's not going to accept less than she deserves because, she's the Empress now, right? So whether you're male or female, this is sort of a position that I think you're being asked to step up into. If this is a work reading for some of you, it could be that you've spent years being like the middleman or the middle guy or woman, however you want to say it, and the universe is like, you've graduated from this. In a way, it's like, where are you holding yourself back? I would challenge you to look at this from multiple viewpoints, not just love or work, but yeah, you may have been very content. I think that's a good word. Content doing the everyday mundane work, and there's nothing wrong with that. Only I always say your one mission in this life is to grow and develop as a spiritual being. And for some reason, I think the universe quite literally here is saying, you stop growing here. This isn't just stagnation. This is an ending, but it's almost like some of you may have been settling for this final ending, but committing yourself to that chapter is something that was supposed to stretch out for possibly years to come. I think quite literally raise your vibration, raise your title, raise your responsibility. But I want to be clear, responsibility to yourself, again, to grow and sort of celebrate all that you're capable of. Because there was something lacking or something less that, or it just wasn't honoring what you were capable of anymore. If you were stuck in a dead-end relationship and you were putting all your time and energy into how do I fix this or make it better, or why don't they like me? This is it's not my problem if they like me. I like me and I know what I want. So again, I just have to honor that and move forward and try and find someone with better compatibility, right? And again, that could relate to something in the job front or with your career, or even with a family member, right? If this has to do with siblings. There's nothing wrong with wanting or desiring something from other people, but there is that understanding that you can't necessarily control it. So you can wish for it and hope for it and try and have open communication and conversation of how to get something to be better. But at a certain point, you're not wrong for wanting and desiring those things, but you might need to be more choosy with who you're asking it from. I think that's a really important message here. You can beg this person till you're blue in the face to treat you better, but if they don't do it, then you're not wrong in wanting that respect and that desire and that romance, that passion, whatever it is, that paycheck, that amount, right, that salary, but you may be asking for it from the wrong source, and I think that's what Spirit is trying to get you to see here. So then what you need to release, an ending, possibly quite literally a Scorpio. And because it is coming up in the release, don't get me wrong, I love all my zodiac signs. I can talk about them all day, every day, negative and positives. But because it's coming up in something we need to move away from or we're overutilizing, I am going to shed a little bit of light, Sun and Scorpio, right, on maybe the more negative connotations, which for some of you, it could have been unhealthy power dynamics, control issues. It could be obsessions. With this, it could even be sort of like a spying, trying to pry into someone else's life and understand, why did they reject me? Why don't they want me? Again, it's not really any of your business. What is your business is to go out there and live your best life. And for some of you, I think you're going to slowly come to the realization it might not be with this person, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think this is hard to hear when you're in sort of that, oh my gosh, I have to let go, but I don't want to phase. I think in time you're going to realize you're so much better off when you do decide to leave this ending behind. And again, it doesn't have to be a literal death. For most of you, I doubt it is, and I don't predict that stuff anyway. I just really want to underscore, right? But you do have some heavy energy here of cycles kind of tapering off, cycling out. Where are you trying to hold on to things, especially mentally? I would say too, aside from in the past when maybe there were those kind of warm, fuzzy feelings, you don't have a lot of cups energy here. What I see the most of is sword energy, which is where are you allowing this to sort of take a negative spin in terms of the thoughts? You know, whatever you tell your brain, whatever you tell yourself, those thoughts, they will probably manifest. You have to understand, like, your mind is a very powerful tool. So even if you kind of fake a little merriness and sunshine, I know all of you are cringing out there as I say that, that's what you have to do to manifest those things in your life, right? So be patient with yourself. Healing is a very personal process. You don't need to put a timeline on it. But I will say, I think you need to make bigger, grander strides in moving away from something that has ended. And rather than kind of spinning into these thoughts of, well, what could I have done better? Why did, how did I fail? Or how did this happen? It's really not about that. The hermit is searching for wisdom. Find wisdom in the ending, but it doesn't have to necessarily be in a negative, self-defeative way. Because some of you flat out, you didn't fail at all, and you know that. Some of you feel like your person failed you. So again, I would challenge you to think, maybe that's not the ultimate reason why this happened. If something exited your life and you're really struggling with it, sometimes there is value, Empress, sometimes they're in value in sort of surrendering to the divine and saying, I don't really understand why this happened, but it's probably for some larger reason that I'm not totally aware of. So at that point, you just have to have faith that maybe the answers will come to you later on. I think they will. This is new information, new knowledge. You're gonna maybe have a different or a higher perspective on this later on. So if you are struggling with it, it's okay. You can accept that maybe you don't know all the answers right now, but that's no reason to stop and sort of get stuck in this sort of downward spiral of trying to replay it or repeat the memory of it or go back and fix it again and again and again. I am almost getting like mental obsession where your mind keeps revisiting this, or every time you hear that song or that person's name or see something on their social media, it triggers you to kind of go into this, oh my God, and we need to remove that. So if any of those things I said resonated with you, you need to distance yourself from them. There's star in his lantern, so this does lead to the star card in tarot. So there's going to be light and warmth up ahead, but I would say embracing, acknowledging that there has been an ending. And again, Venus energy, the land, the earth, Taurian energy, where can we grow from here? Maybe the seeds we planted didn't bloom or blossom for a reason, but that doesn't mean that the reason is to punish you. It's for a greater reason that I think a lot of you, we don't quite know the answers yet, and that's how life works, right? Tarot can only sort of peek inside of these things. So what we need to release, I would say control issues or obsessive thinking. That's really coming through strong for me. And what's really interesting too, as I said, even if you don't understand why this happened or the reasoning behind it, having faith, like moving towards that hierophant, the symbol of, someone who's in touch with the divine, move towards that. It's actually the direct opposite of Scorpio. Isn't that interesting? So, and possibly maybe that does have to do with eclipse season coming up, right? We're going to have the south node in Scorpio and the north node in Taurus. So in theory, we're going to be moving more towards that sort of earthy energy, which is fairly compatible with most of my water signs out there. It is the direct opposite of Scorpio. So for my Scorpio watching, there is sort of that balancing of the scales, that equilibrium, that recalibration. If you're leaning too heavily into sort of the deep, intense, emotional power dynamics of Scorpio, we kind of need to move towards the sort of the lighter dynamics of Taurus. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but Taurus doesn't need all the deep information. It can kind of go off of how it feels, but it incorporates all the senses. So it's about so much more than emotions. It is about the real, the tangible, the practical, the earth. But I would say with this also the swords. Really beautiful that you kind of have the Empress with Taurus and Libra energy, because that's what it's saying. It's mixing the earthy practical with sort of the truth, the facts, the knowledge, the relatability of kind of that air energy. I'm sort of tempted to throw one on this. I'm not sure if it'll tell us, but we'll see. Anything else on this death card? What are we leaving behind? Let's put a card here for my water sign gang who is hopefully relating to this if they've made it this far in the video. What is exiting out? What is something they need to release or come to terms with, embrace, accept? that for the time being anyways, right? Something is exiting your life for a reason probably beyond your knowledge. For some of you, you need to release a child. Again, it could be something that they're moving away or they are going off to college. For some of you, that came through. Okay, for some of you, it's just the idea that you, again, I don't mean control in like a really domineering, possessive way, but we all sometimes like to control things where we can because it brings us this idea of comfort. And for Scorpio, this idea of, survival, right? In terms of its like ancient meaning. The idea that you kind of have to let the people around you grow into what they were always meant to become. You may be being overly controlling, or let's use the word protective. I think that's a good word. Protective because you're trying to save people harsh lessons in life, when I think the universe is saying you have to let this person grow into what they were meant to. And so even though that might be a little bit scary for you to release and really have faith, that's the main message here, you kind of have to let this person live out their life and hope it works for the best, right? And I always say too, whether this is romantic or a friendship or a family member, if you truly love this person, you want what is best for them, whether they're in your life or not. That's a really good indication that this is true love, that this is like a soulmate type energy, right? Again, doesn't have to be romantic. Versus if this is just a toxic ex that did you bad, understandably so, if they go off because maybe whatever, there was third party stuff or there was someone else that caught they caught feelings for, you probably wouldn't be feeling like, oh, well, I hope it works out. I hope they get the Cinderella story. Probably not, because, there were some tough lessons you had to learn. But with that, and I'm not saying you need to sugarcoat it and wish everybody well. I mean, ideally, I think that's good for karma, but, that's your choice. Ultimately, though, if this person exits your life and you're just like, ugh, that was a sobering experience or that was very painful, maybe it wasn't all the bells and whistles you thought it was. Maybe it was a karmic, but maybe it wasn't necessarily like the one, because otherwise you would be happy that they're happy, right? I think that's important to understand. And again, that's my perspective on it. This is how I'm reading the cards, and you might disagree, and that's okay. This is your tarot reading too, so you can participate and only take what resonates, as I say. Again, the sun is a very important message here, the illumination. Sun has a lot to do with our creativity and our self-expression, and your need to be authentic. Where were you editing yourself in order to try and maintain this relationship or maintain this connection or this job, this chapter in your life? Where were you sacrificing your authentic self-expression in order to kind of keep the gears moving when it's just, it's almost getting the idea that it got stuck in the mud. It's not pulling forward for a reason. Kind of getting chariot energy here, so maybe this has to do with some of my Cancerians out there. For some of you, this is just about stepping up into true power and leadership. Again, if you've been a middleman, if you've been part of a team, you may have reached a phase where very like these two cards together, almost like an apprenticeship or becoming the master of your craft, kind of Eight of Pentacles energy. Really interesting that that's coming up with these two. I love that. It's almost like you're ready to apply to that job that's going to raise your salary or increase your responsibilities, but also potentially lighten your workload of things that you just don't need to be doing that anymore. It's like you graduated and yet you're still sitting on your throne kind of wanting to exist in the status quo or what's known. And I think this is saying you may have to leave behind your work family and it doesn't mean forever, right? But it's saying you can't mix with the same people you used to because there's something more important that the universe has in store for you. So honor that. And I would say with the very strong Aries energy with the Queen of Wands, honor that and know that it will take bravery. It will take courage. Facing your fears may be inevitable in this process, but will it be worth it? You bet your ass it will. Absolutely. All right, last but not least, what you need to embrace is to get back out on the battlefield again. Even if it scares you, go out there knowing that you do have skills, that you do have talents, and make yourself known. And again, the idea of expression and authentic, very important with the sun, authentic communication, right? Like every sign has their polarities, the negative and positive. If the sun is very strongly connected to, well, all of us, right? We all have a sun position, but connected to Leo. Leo is the entertainer and the performer of the zodiac, right? They're very warm, they're very creative, but in a negative, manifestation of that energy, it can become sort of farce. It can become performance, but not necessarily, but it would lack authenticity. Here it's like truth. Truth is what's coming through. So by all means, put on the show and perform and get people excited again. Leos have this insane ability, just the way the sun does, to attract the planets around it, right? Because it's the source, it's the vitality. We all feed off of that sun energy. That is you, right? But with that, make sure it's coming from a pure place that honors who you are. Integrity. Integrity is a very strong word there. So what you need to embrace, new chapters. You know, aces are always new versus a 10. So that's what I mean. There's so much reason to have hope here. Is whatever is cycling out or ending, I would even say it's probably quickly being replaced with something new. So make sure you are doing the healing work if that is what is required, so that you have room to accept new blessings in your life. Facing your fear is a really important message here. Let's throw one on this and we'll wrap it on up. Ace of Swords, what you need to embrace. New chapters, new cycles. Honoring your voice, powerful communications, authenticity, and also with that crown, respecting yourself. And for some of you, I keep getting the repeated message. It's holding a higher position, a higher ranking position, a higher status. It has nothing to do with vanity. It has to do with you've earned this. You've done the work. So where are you self-sabotaging of, oh, I'm not ready? You know, someone they're you know, the idea of like, oh, well, someone's always going to do it better than me. That's self-sabotaging, right? I feel like you guys owe it to yourself to enter this new cycle. And, you know, I'm going to say with fear, right? That might be part of it, but with bravery too, with a determination, with a confidence to conquer and to make this thing your own. With the Empress coming up here, I just remember it's shrouded in the kind of like Venus love energy. So you're going to be supported, the scales, right? There's going to be balance and equilibrium into this next chapter. You just have to take the brave step to go after it. I feel like the universe got you here. They're not going to let you fail. And sometimes failure is really good. You know, to be honest, I don't see that in the future. I see some of you struggling or grappling with, whether you want to call it failure or not, it's up to you, right? It's all a matter of your perspective. Maybe this wasn't failure. Maybe this was an aha moment. Maybe this was like, oh, I finally see it. You know, this wasn't meant for me. Or, you know, I never would have been happy in this role or with this person. I would have been sacrificing. I would have been minimizing myself. I would have been editing myself or suffocating self-expression. This isn't necessarily a failure, but sometimes it's not the worst thing to be like, yeah, you know what? I failed, but I walked away and I'm still going to do it. There's something incredibly powerful about going through failure, coming out on the other end and being even more invigorated and excited to go after it and do it correctly. Or, you know what I mean? I don't mind the word failure. It's scary when you're going through it, but it's so empowering when you can just kind of own it and be like, yeah, I did that. And it didn't come out the way I thought, but yeah, move away from perfectionism, right? With the Hermit, kind of that Virgo energy. You may be putting too much pressure on yourself to be perfect when that's never what it was about. Luxury, enjoyment, that's a huge word that comes with the Empress, right? Are you enjoying this? Does it feel like monotonous work with no end point or no sort of finality of, okay, well, once I achieve this, I'm going to be happy? If you're always chasing happiness, you're never going to be happy, right? And that can be a bitter pill to swallow too, but I'm going to go ahead and follow the theme of this reading and not edit myself. All right. Anything else we can tell my water signs about this Ace of Swords? What might be coming in, or something they can embrace, something they can utilize, something they can look forward to? Yeah, getting back out there and fighting the good fight. I almost see this as competition. But you are a worthy competitor, so don't shy away from it again because of that self-sabotaging, oh, well, I'm not as good as everyone else. Well, you're never going to know until you try. But with the Empress, that's a very fortuitous, I think, lucky card, especially if this is going after a job opportunity. If it is romantic, you know, again, possibly something or someone who has very strong Venus energy in their chart. So it could be a Taurus or a Libra. It doesn't have to be. It could be something with your mother, too. Interesting. So you have bookends of these kind of Scorpio cards too. So you may be moving away from one Scorpio and going into another. And I also think, I actually love this, knowing when to walk away. It's almost like the gift of knowledge or the gift of understanding, epiphanies, again, a higher perspective, a new viewpoint of, for some of you, it's like, putting in the fight with the wrong person or with the wrong boss or with the wrong sibling, at some point you're just like, I'm done. I tap out. It's not that you're giving up on life. It's that you're giving up or moving on from a situation where it doesn't offer you happiness. That's important. It doesn't, if there's no light at the end of the tunnel here, if you find yourself having the same conversation time and time again, you get to decide when that stops. And again, a huge theme here is, does it honor your value and your integrity? If you're fighting with someone to see the potential in you or to see the light, to see all the gifts you have to offer, you know, you're having the conversation with the wrong person. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone, only yourself. That's really key here. Some of you are going to have a Scorpio fighting for you. Let's get you some keywords, then we'll wrap up. What are some keywords I can give to my water signs? Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. I'll get one more. Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. What can I tell them? Scorpio season is a time of endings too, so just embrace that, right? You don't have to fight it. Allow endings to come into your life, and then choosing a very what is the word I'm looking for? Not specifically. Choosing with purpose, with intention, where you want to build next. Maybe this gift or this ending is a gift because it's allowing you to sort of recalibrate or reorganize, shift your life in some way. So maybe this choice of, oh my gosh, I've never been in this position where I have the choice to choose where I want to grow or who I want to build with. Take advantage of that. This is not a time to slack off and be lazy. You do have to kind of get your head back in the game. I love that. 5 of Wands with the Ace of Swords. And with that, there will be an ending, but in terms of what you need to embrace, the positive benefits of this ending. Walking away from something that didn't deserve your time and attention. All right. I know I'm rambling at this point. Here we go. One more card. The universe is like not happening. All right, we're just going to do these two. All right, perseverance. Stay the course. Very related to Taurian energy, you know, perseverance, persevering, weathering the storm. That's kind of that positive energy of like the fixed quality is holding on. And then wild, believe in your otherworldly beauty, dance with the waves, and drink in the sunshine. Well, there it is. With the water signs, no less. I love it. All right, guys, that's what I got for you this week. Please remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel. If you want to book a personal reading, there is information in the dialog box below on how to do so. Other than that, I will see you very soon for more tarot. Bye, guys.